Applications are now open. Applications close in September 2023 at 5 p.m. For more information, visit foundation.digitalpacific.com.
Hello, I'm Tracy Pa with the Midday News. Police in Gulf are struggling on a daily basis to curb the thriving illegal drug business in the province, says Provincial Police Commander Chief Inspector Jeffrey Lamb. He commented after 5 suspects were arrested for transporting large amount of marijuana in Malalahua.
The suspects are 4 male and 1 female who were apprehended at the east bank of the Taurel-Lakekamu River, Malalawa in Gulf Province with their 40-horse-powered outboard motor. Gulf Police acted on a tip-off when a message was circulated to Gulf Police on the evening of August 30th, and upon search along the river banks, police found 4 50 kg bags filled to the brim with 10 kg bags of marijuana. The suspects, drugs and their outboard motor was brought down by police to Yosipi, arriving at about 12 a.m. on Sunday 3rd of September and were taken to Malalawa Police Station and detained. Provincial Police Commander Chief Inspector Jeffrey Lamb said although the court has sentenced many drug dealers and traffickers in the province for up to 20 years plus this year, the message seems to have not reached the communities. Chief Inspector Lamb said the Controlled Substance Act 2021 is active and the people are getting jailed for long periods of time, but it is failing to be a deterrent as it should be. He says drug business is still thriving as this huge drug bust suggests. Young people are still actively involved in this illegal business. Lamb is calling on the Gulf Provincial Administration to immediately mount a permanent border checkpoint at Alika Swamp that borders Central and Gulf provinces. Susan Oreape, TVWAN News.
The construction of the 5-kilometer Midday Town Road sealing project from the main wharf to the Bidal Junction is yet to be completed. Residents are now complaining about the delay. About 2.5 kilometers of road has been sealed. The other 2.5 kilometers is still on hold as Midday Provincial Works tries its best to get all the suited material on hand before work can continue. Midday District Administrator Albert Ulai said the project is delayed because contractors are still sourcing materials and one of the crashes has broken down and beyond use. Provincial Works needs the 4 mil and 12 mil crushed stones in order to complete the sealing process. The administrator affirms that money is not among these issues. He is confident that once these issues of delay are cleared, the remaining resealing work will be completed within the month of September.
But as you can see, as I've mentioned, 2022, 10 million is untouched, it's left idle. 2021, 6 million was already released as per court order. I have 4 million still remaining. So total funding from 4 million is 2021 balance, and 2022 full 10 million is there. We have 14 million still remaining. So the question of money is not an issue. Now we are just walking around to see whatever they're required to put it on, like shepherds. We have the all sorts of layers of mix sand there to be put before the final sealing to take place. So these are the things that we are working on. It's depending on the availability of this required stock, then we should get the road done.
World Coconut Day was observed in Midday over the weekend. Celebrations included an awareness campaign by coconut industries cooperation in addressing the public about the many uses of coconut and how downstream processing can be able to boost the economy and the livelihood of simple subsistence farmers. Dr. Heremas Trade, KIK's General Manager, Research and Development Division, said this year they staged a two-day event so they could do awareness on many agendas the institution has and give prominence to SMEs. Dr. Trade enlightened the public on the different products that coconut is able to be processed into and exported. Currently, PNG only exports three major products: copra, coconut oil, and copra meal.
And now you will go further than that. You will make use of stick coconuts for you. Now, by me, maintain several products come out again. A coconut husk, fiber, and a coconut feed, and two again, plus shell for you. Coconut shell for you. Now you are cooking nothing. They got two more products come out then. And by this carbon, organic carbon now, two charcoal and stuff. So, plant your lot of products apart from this copra oil now, copra meal. And by milk downstream, plant your lot of products. In fact, the world today, and on other countries like Philippines, India, Sri Lanka, now Thailand, all planting a lot of products. Inside the world today, they got 103 different products that can come out of one block of us.
Minister for Health and HIV, Dr. Lino Tom, told provincial health authorities that they will be pursued by their performance and held accountable if they are not doing their jobs. Dr. Tom, in a PAJ forum held this morning, said the health sector in PNG is abusive because of mismanagement and misappropriation of public health services.
When you give so much responsibility, financial responsibility, and power to a single person, that can be abused. And we've seen so many cases of abuse in this country. We've started doing audits of PHAs where we've received complaints of mismanagement and misappropriation, and we've started with, obviously I had to start with my own province, and we've started with Enga, but we're making our way throughout the country, and a lot of your boards will be looked at to make sure there's transparency and accountability when it comes to delivery of health services.
In regional news, Vanuatu's parliament has elected Santo Kilman as the new Pacific Islands nation's new Prime Minister. Mr. Kilman, who has previously been Prime Minister of Vanuatu on 4 occasions, was elected 27 votes to 23 in a secret ballot on Monday after a court upheld the results of a non-confidence motion against Ismail Kalsakwa. The non-confidence motion geared 26 votes compared to 23 votes against, but the Parliament Speaker said if it failed to win the absolute majority of 27 to remove a Prime Minister in the 52-seat Parliament. The Pacific Islands nations has been perceived as being caught up in a geopolitical tussle between China and the West, but other political commentators point to domestic issues as the reason for the non-confidence motion, such as opposition to a proposed rise in the minimum wage. Her report has called for sweeping changes to a raft of Victorian laws to address what is called gross human rights abuses against First Peoples in the state's child protection and criminal justice systems.
Beginning with a smoking ceremony, the Yuruk Justice Commission launched its landmark report calling for an overhaul of Victoria's criminal justice and child protection systems, which it found have failed First Peoples.
This is not just Aboriginal truth, this is the true history of our people in this state of Victoria.
We heard stories of racism, discrimination, of injustice and trauma. This report represents the most comprehensive examination of its kind in this state's history.
Following a year-long investigation, the First Peoples-led inquiry, which has the powers of a royal commission, handed the government 46 recommendations. It's calling for better oversight, more power, and eventually a handover of systems like child protection to First Peoples. Yurok wants police to stop investigating police complaints. It's recommended statewide training for workers in youth justice, corrections and child protection to stamp out racial bias. On areas like bail reform and raising the age of criminal responsibility to 14, where some progress has been made, the Commission wants the state to go further and faster, implementing the urgent changes within 12 months.
The recommendations that Yurok have presented are fair and achievable within a 12-month time frame.
We can't have treaty without truth-telling.
The democratically elected Voice for Victoria, the First Peoples Assembly, will incorporate Yurok's plan into its upcoming statewide treaty negotiations.
With treaty now, we can reimagine what some of those systems look like.
I don't think setting up a totally separate Aboriginal system in Victoria is necessarily the way forward.
It's the first time in Australian history a government will be forced to respond to such a major reform agenda put forward by its own truth-telling commission. The Victorian government says it will carefully consider Yurok's recommendations, but Yurok's commissioners are pushing for action.
We are not going to tinker around the edges here. We're talking about real change. We've had over 200 years of a colonial system that needs to change.
And in sports, her thrilled Garaka Bombers AFL club received a 50,000 kina funding support from the office of the member for Mosby South. Justin Tachenko accredited the Garaka area as one of the fastest growing communities in the electorate and was confident that this financial intervention would greatly assist the club's positive impact in the community, especially the youth. He stated that although AFL is not followed as much as rugby league and other popular codes in the country, it is still a constructive medium to influence change in the communities. Garaka Bombers coach and director for AFL development in PNG, Delhi Meli, said the club started with junior development and mainly focuses on assisting young people excel in sports. He said there is also life in sports with equal participation of women and girls. And this ends the Midday News. Join us at 6 for more.